All right, so it looks like we got ourselves a bunch of drama happening behind the scenes here in the sneaker world. So I'm going to break down what's going on behind the scenes and why it gives us an update concerning one of next year's most highly anticipated Jordan brand releases, as it was previously reported that an OG classic Jordan release would be returning. So things all began right here with Eldon Monitors, a sneaker account which essentially provides restock alerts, early looks. They provide product images ahead of time, just pretty much everything concerning sneaker information. They've been holding things down here in the community for quite some time now, definitely credible. They haven't been 100% correct for everything, but definitely been providing a lot of solid information. Now, yesterday, in a now deleted post, they said something about a recent Jordan brand leak, which came from another account actually being incorrect. So everybody was kind of wondering like what was wrong. You know, when you talk about 2026 leaks that we've seen so far, I would say, for the record, it's been kind of underwhelming, but then again, a lot of this stuff is just like mock-up images, plus on top of that, we don't even know what's going to be fully dropping next year, so a lot more pairs I'm sure will be popping up soon. But as far as what we've seen leaked so far, like what could be incorrect? Now, previously reported by Z Sneakerheads, the He Got Game Jordan 13 is expected to return summer of 2026, which had everybody hyped, you know, excited for this iconic OG Jordan brand classic to be returning. But unfortunately, according to Eldon Monitors, the Air Jordan 13 He Got Game is releasing as a low-cut version. It is not a high-top version, essentially throwing shots at Z Sneakerheads. He then went on to say, now watch two things. Who credits who? Z and company won't credit anyone who isn't their boy toy. Two, let's see when it gets corrected, because it was never a high to begin with. Bonus, I am not a leaker. I stopped leaking a while ago. I am set until fall of 2026. No one else can say that. He also put, this isn't the first or last one that needs to be corrected. Give it a few weeks for the updates to come in. So as far as what we've seen so far when it comes to 2026 leaks from Z Sneakerheads, let's just not forget these words right here. Some of these leaks could be incorrect, so we'll have to wait on it. Now, when you talk about 2026 Jordan brand leaks, that's so far away. When it comes to them being incorrect, like, I don't think anybody's gonna be too mad. I mean, some people could be let down, but at the end of the day, they're just sneaker leaks. And I feel like sometimes these accounts' egos can kind of get in the way, because at the end of the day, while people do appreciate these accounts, they're really more so concerned with the product. And I feel like it's maybe just a little bit of ego check, maybe just chill out a little bit. Now, we also did have some other people chiming in, talking about this particular matter, bringing up the fact that Eldon Monitors has actually been incorrect as far as some past Jordan brand leaks that they put out, you know, first on the scene. One of those particularly saying that the 85 high OG Chicago would be expected to return this fall, celebrating Jordan brand's 40th anniversary, which did turn out to be incorrect. It actually was the Bread 85s, which who could be really mad at that? And then they were actually wrong about the off-white Jordan 1 Canary Yellow, talking about those were expected to return holiday of 2025, which, although they weren't right about the specific colorway, it is being reported by all of the major sneaker accounts that the off-white Alaska one will be returning. So while they have been incorrect for a couple of times, for the most part, you know what I'm saying, they've been pretty much spot on. But it kind of seems like a case where Eldon Monitors like is mad because maybe they're not getting much love from some of the other high profile sneaker accounts, as Z Sneakerheads is normally known to team up with all of the other big players such as Sneaker Files, Brandon, Mr. Unloved Ones. They all kind of seem to be clicked up against Eldon Monitors, so it kind of feels like a case where maybe he feels played because he's not a part of the group or something like that. So it gets deeper. I'm not going to bore you guys with the rest of the drama, but I feel like it's just time for these dudes to just relax. Who knows what's happening really behind the scenes, but as far as these small little glimpses that we've seen here on Twitter, it just kind of seems like a bunch of shenanigans, which at the end of the day, nobody really cares about these accounts personally, but more so concerned about the product, which, as far as the big update, when we talk about these He Got Game 13s, unfortunately not releasing in true OG high cut form, but rather a low cut version, which, if I'm not mistaken, it will be the first time that we see this color featured on a pair of Jordan 13 lows, which, when we take a look back at the 13 lows which have released throughout the years, the 13 low is kind of interesting, right? Because when you talk about low top versions of Jordan brand releases, in the past, they usually got a lot of hate. I mean, there are some exceptions, which I feel like have aged nicer over time. For example, I feel like the Jordan 2s, definitely don't look bad in a low top form. Salute to Virgil for putting that design on the map. And I feel like the Jordan 6 lows don't really look too bad as well. But when you talk about the 13 lows, they're kind of a wobbler, right? Because when you talk about the OG 13s, when them joints dropped back in the day, like they set things off with that first like Chicago inspired colorway, which then went on to be nicknamed the He Got Game. So I remember these being like crazy when they first dropped. And of course, in typical Jordan brand fashion, they would follow it up with a white and red pair. And then when the playoffs roll around, they usually hit us with like a black and red type of color. But once we saw those initial colors drop, Jordan brand kind of switched things up, dropping a couple of different Jordan 13 lows. So if you guys were back then, around then, some of the OG 13 lows would be these Brave Blue joints right here, which I ain't gonna lie, I have a lot of nostalgia for seeing people rocking these. Never had a pair personally, but definitely do remember people rocking those. So it kind of brings off some back cool memories. And then we also had these ones right here, the Chutney, I guess is what they're called. I never knew the name, but I just remember these looking dope, like a pair of Timberlands or something like that. So those were the two OG Jordan 13 lows, which we did see Jordan brand retro those at some point. But when you take a look back at 13 lows, I'm not even gonna lie, like I'm not too impressed by a lot of these right here. There was a bread pair, which we did see drop at some point. This is what potentially the He Got Games could look like right here, which they're called the Singles Day, which dropped back in 2021. I actually had no clue about those. We had a Pure Money 13 low, which I mean, can you be mad at a essentially all white pair of Jordans? Not a bad look. So what do y'all think about the 13 lows overall? I mean, as we continue down the list, we had a 13 low Hornets colorway, a Cherry 13 low as well, which dropped back in 2005. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm not really rocking with those too much. Clot dropped the pair in 2018. That's interesting. We had the Quai 54 or Quay 54 joints as well. A ceramic pair in 2005. That's interesting because I had no clue that there was a run of 13 lows which dropped back in 2005. That's interesting. Here we got the OG. So yeah, quite a few actually. Dong Dan. We got the white Varsity Maze. Okay. And some PEs, of course. So as y'all see what's happening with the 13 lows, some pretty cool colors which have dropped throughout the years. A black Varsity Maze in 2005. I ain't gonna lie, those ain't bad at all right there. Kind of play off the playoff. So you guys see the silhouette doesn't look too bad, but then again, it's not touching, you know, of course, the OG classics. For me, when it comes to a 13 low, the only ones that I would probably touch would be them OGs. So like, for example, these Brave Blue joints, or of course the Chutney joints as well. So I guess nostalgia does play a big factor when you look back at a lot of these pairs, because for me, if I didn't see them as a kid growing up, you know, I'm not gonna have any type of like real connection to the sneaker. And I guess nostalgia does play a big factor in it. So those were cool. But when you talk about the 13 He Got Game lows, House of Heat did put together a little mock-up image of what these joints could potentially look like. So for me, they're a no-go, but then again, like the 13s, I wouldn't really see myself rocking them too much like that. And if I was to pick up, say, for example, the He Got Games, it would more just be out of nostalgia and probably just something as like a collector's piece, but not something that I'm actually looking like to wear or anything like that. So these are cool or whatever. I think it is a little bit disappointing when you talk about the 13s. I think a lot of people are checking for these He Got Games, and now that they're going to be dropping in a low top form, I don't see the excitement, you know, being that high. So let me know what y'all think about this update right here. Here's a look at the OGs, which, yeah, these are fire. I ain't gonna lie, I would probably grab these if they were to restock. These are pretty cool right here. And then here got the blue pair as well. So kind of disappointing as far as the update. Remember, Eldon Monitors did say that as far as some past leaks, which we did get from Z Sneakerheads concerning some updated pairs coming here in 2026, that some of those will be incorrect as well. He said it right here. It's not the first and last one that needs to be corrected. Give it a few weeks for the updates to come in. So we'll have to wait on that. But as far as like updates, maybe they could be updates, you know, for the better for us here. So let me know what y'all think about the drama. I mean, I already said it. It feels like Eldon Monitors, he doesn't feel like he's accepted as part of like the, you know, cool sneaker Twitter guy clique. And maybe he feels a little disrespected. We're not going to get into too deep with all the drama and everything. But I just feel like with Z Sneakerheads and them boys kind of just keeping things low. And then you got Eldon Monitors like acting out it kind of makes him look dumb. But then again, I guess you're never going to get your respect unless you start to call these people out. So I kind of feel where he's coming from. But to kind of wrap things up, He Got Games will be returning in a low top version. But the good thing is these sneakerheads did hint at another restock. So we're not out here about to be canceling any of these accounts right here. I still appreciate all of the information they provide to us, which maybe they give us information a little bit too early. I guess the element of surprise isn't really there anymore as it once was, but they're talking about who would like to see the Flint Jordan 15s release again. And definitely I put my hands up. You can sign me up for these. I've been on record to say that I feel like the 15s, while I didn't really love them back in the day, I feel like have aged like fine wine. A sneaker which seems to get a lot of hate, but I think maybe we're a little bit ahead of their time, and I can definitely appreciate the 15 as a silhouette overall. One that's not been overdone. It's already been confirmed that we are supposed to get some 15s returning next year, and I would love to see these Flint joints come back. These are a dope colorway. So let me know what y'all think about this whole matter happening, and would you guys be excited to see the 15s return? And what do you think about the He Got Games potentially returning in a low top version here in 2026? So I'll catch you guys here in a minute. JATV, stay safe, stay blessed. I'll catch you guys soon. I'm out. Love.